I've filmed quite a few videos in the same morning, and my voice is kind of dry because I don't talk during COVID. Let's do another bulk book reviews. These are books that I read quite a long time ago, and I wanted to talk about them, but I simply didn't. So let's amend that. I actually have the physical version of this book for once. It's All the Books They Used for God by Anjali Sachdeva. So this is a short story collection, a fantastic one by the way. I would say that a lot of the stories are very dreamy and whimsical. She pulls off writing historical fiction to sci-fi to magical realism with flawless ease. My favorite story was Glass Lung. It's about a man who becomes disabled after he suffers a work incident because he's inhaled glass. It's difficult to get your audience to care about a character in such a short amount of time, and I loved all of the characters in the book. His daughter, his son-in-law was so sweet. I recommend this book to anyone because there's such a wide range of short stories that hopefully there will be like a genre that you really vibe with in here. Second book I read was Gods Behaving Badly by Mary Phillips. This book, just a lot of fun. The concept was, what if the Greek gods had lost their powers and they lived among us in this modern world? Artemis is a dog walker, Aphrodite is a phone sex operator. What happens is that Aphrodite and Apollo get in a little scuffle. So Aphrodite gets Cupid, by the way, Cupid is Christian, to shoot an arrow at Apollo, and Apollo falls in love with an innocent mortal woman. Thus, Alice and Neil, two very normal mortals, are caught in the middle of this feud between the gods. This book was just a fun ride, honestly. I finished it in a couple of days. I really appreciated that Artemis was one of the main characters. Oftentimes in Greek retellings, I feel like Artemis is oftentimes put to the sidelines, and I like seeing her in the forefront. Rated this book 3 stars. Not because I didn't enjoy it, it's just that it wasn't spectacular. I didn't take much away from it except a fun time, which I don't think is a bad thing, nor do I think it's a good thing. Trying to be more impactful than it was. I wasn't quite self-aware. A nice way to spend your weekend. It's a good beach read, although I would only recommend it to people who care enough about Greek mythology. Next book I read was My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. Even I finally read it and I enjoyed it. Follow this unnamed narrator who seems like she's living the best life. She graduated from school and she's working this high-end job, working in an art gallery in New York. Honestly, low effort, frankly. It's easy money. She lives in this gorgeous New York apartment. There's a huge gaping hole in her life. Her family has unfortunately passed away, and she's feeling incredibly lost. She doesn't know what to do with her life, with her career. Nothing feels really fulfilling for her. So the mad lad just decides to sleep for an entire year. So she gets in touch with this horrific psychiatrist, prescribes her a whole bunch of sleep meds, and she just sleeps for an entire year. A couple things that I really liked about this novel was definitely the atmosphere. The atmosphere was incredibly dreamlike and hypnotic. It felt like I was trapped in a lucid dream, and that very much mimics the sort of premise of the book, the main character sleeping all the time. My favorite part though was the main character. Kind of horrible person, but she was just so entertaining, made her relatable and, God forbid, even likable. There were plenty of reviews complaining that the middle sagged. Yeah, it did. But I didn't mind it. The character was sleeping a lot more. I feel like it was a stylistic choice. The author did that on purpose, and I feel like it was the right stylistic choice. One thing I will bring up though is the abrupt ending. I shared a common opinion that the book wrapped up a bit too nicely and too quickly. I wish there was more focus. Next book I read was Summerbird Blue by Akemi Bowman. Rumi Seto is our main character, and she's sent to Hawaii as her mother grieves the loss of Rumi's sister. So Rumi is adjusting to her new life, living off of the mainland, losing her sister, feeling betrayed by her mother for sending her away. It's very much a story about grief and forgiveness and acceptance. I can't not review this book without bringing this up, so please understand that this review is going to be incredibly biased, but for a good reason. Okay, related way too much with the main character, and it's not like a thing where we're kind of similar. No, we're scarily similar. Rumi questioning her sexuality very much mimics my own experience. Rumi went on a date with a guy named Kai when I was in Hawaii. A boy named Kai asked me out on a date. We both lived in Oahu. We're both military kids. We both know how to play the piano and ukulele. We're both Asian American. We're both part Japanese. We're both on the asexual spectrum, but both feel kind of off about the title and both feel frustrated that the title only serves to help other people's understanding and not our own. Also, did not have the best time when we lived in Hawaii. We were both dealing with a lot of emotional stuff when we lived there. I also have a very rough relationship with my mom. The one line in particular that I really needed to hear that I wasn't able to get from my family. Me and Rumi also wiped out on the same beach in Hawaii. It was the one with the big waves that, you know, tourists will try to swim in there and then they can't. That's only for surfing. I tried to boogie board there. I got wiped out, man. She did too. The first day when we went to Hawaii, I think we both had spam musubi. Do you understand? Like, this isn't just, oh, I relate to the main character. This is, I feel like this author is watching me through a camera, because there are way too many similarities between me and the main character that it's not relatable in a fun way where the writer knows how to write well, which she does, but this is, I relate to the character in a creepy, I feel like the camera's watching me type of way. It got to the point to where I was texting my friend like, this book is not fun anymore. I read this book in one sitting, and to be fair, I don't think this book is meant to be read in one sitting, but every time I finish a chapter, I kept saying, okay, the next chapter can't relate to my life. Surely. The actual review, the book was great. The MC was lovely. The aunt character, chef kiss. She said the one line that I really needed to hear when I was going through that tough time in my life. When she said to take your time forgiving, that shit hurted. Everything about the book, I don't know how to review this with little to no bias, because I can't. Because this main character should have just been named Danny Mamoru. Was it the best book I've ever read? No. Was it the most impactful book I've read in quite a long time? Yes. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm a bit concerned for the author watching me through a window. Anyway, the next book I read was Educated by Tara Westover. Who hasn't read this book by now? This is a memoir of a girl raised in a fundamentalist Christian family, specifically the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So she defies expectations, works her ass off to get an education. This inspired me though. It's a huge underdog story, and at the end I was like, you know what? Life sucks, but it's livable. I can make my time worthwhile. Could be really helpful for those trying to cut off toxic family members as well. I've seen more than one review calling out Tara's life on being fake or lying for attention. There's a lot of victim blaming in those reviews. Oh my goodness gracious. Too smart to put herself through that abuse. She was a child. Yeah, be careful if you wanted to read those reviews. I recommend this book to everyone. It genuinely is a book that I feel like a lot of people can find something worthwhile. Next book I read was In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Machado does this cool thing, like she has chapters labeled like In the Haunted House, where she'll narrate her experience as if it happened in a haunted house, hence In the Dream House. This one, craft-wise, was just fantastic. It was creative. I've never seen that done before, nor have I ever heard of that being done before. She flipped the memoir narrative on its head and made it interesting and creative, which speaks to her academic education and creative writing. You're scared to speak up about the abuse, not just because it's a difficult thing in the first place, but because you don't want to make the LGBT community look bad. That is a heavy burden. If you are a part of the LGBT community, I'd recommend it to you that same-sex relationships can still be incredibly violent. I loved her memoir. Not so much her short story collection, but memoir was great and I recommend it to a lot of people. Now, I wanted to do a little bonus section of maybe a different form that isn't necessarily a book that I really enjoyed, a different medium of art, whether that be a TV show, a movie, that kind of thing. And the one that I chose was Violet Evergarden. I watched the anime on Netflix. Violet Evergarden's story is she's a child soldier coming back from war and having to adjust to civilian life. She has to grapple with the grief and trauma, the loss of someone who was so incredibly close to her. Because she was a child soldier, she knows nothing. That was her only life. And there's no adjusting back to civilian life. There's just learning a new way of life, period. So Violet Evergarden struggles to understand what were the last words that her mentor said to her before he passed away. So she decides to become an auto memories doll, which is someone that will write letters for people because the public in general is not incredibly literate. And it's one of those series where I can't really explain why it scratched an itch. I relate to Violet so much. She's aloof and unemotional. She'll often say harsh things and not realize what she said was cruel. Once I do interact with people, I feel like only then can you see that I'm very deadpan in a lot of conversations. I'm getting better at it though, frankly. One thing that I really loved about the series was that it holds Violet responsible for her action. And that isn't something that I see often within anti-heroes. Violet Evergarden is a soldier, and with that, she has slaughtered God knows how many people. And there's a point where she's talking to someone and then he says something like, I want you to remain ignorant so that you don't have to face your own sins. And then eventually she does, and she's right. She's like, I wish I stayed ignorant because this pain, this guilt, this shame is heart-wrenching. She realizes that there is nothing she can do to atone for her actions. She's killed people. She's taken people's lives away. She took a man's life away who could have easily been someone's husband, someone's son, someone's brother. And she tries to atone for them, but she realizes she never can. And she has to learn to live with herself. Give me an evil character trying in vain to gain redemption. Take my money. This series, again, is a very personal one. I don't think it's for everyone, though. For me, it was, and I was over the moon. Plus, there's like little side movies of Violet's adventures taking place after the TV series. We admire Violet in the pantsuit. Those are my reviews of the things that I enjoyed, I think literally 2 years ago. Thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to post videos every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please subscribe. Please check out my channel. All of my social media links are in the description. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Okay. Bye, guys.